Ezekiel Abaddon, known more infamously to Imperial forces as the Despoiler, is the Lord of the Black Legion and War Master of Chaos. During the course of the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy, Abaddon held the rank of First Captain within the Sons of Horus Legion, and would even serve as a confidant to his Primarch Horus Lupercal, as part of an unofficial advisory council known as the Mournival. Abaddon would choose to remain loyal to his Primarch as Horus betrayed his oaths to the Emperor and rebelled against the Imperium, instigating a civil war that would become known within historical records as the Horus Heresy. The future Despoiler would take part in many notable campaigns during this conflict, such as the Istvan Free Purgings, which saw him battle against the loyalist Lunar Wolf and former member of the Mournival, Garviel Loken, and the Battle of Yarant, where a traitor force under Abaddon's command would attempt to destroy the remnants of the loyalist Space Wolves Legion, although he would fail in this particular mission. One of the most important accomplishments undertaken by Abaddon during the course of the Heresy was during the battle for the Sol System, just prior to the Siege of Terra, where Abaddon would successfully capture the Gene Labs upon Terra's moon, granting a significant number of resources to the traitor legions. In the final hours of the siege, Horus would be slain by the Emperor of Mankind, claiming victory for the Loyalists with a single blow. With the death of his Gene-sire, Abaddon would tear Horus's lightning claw from the Primarch's armor, before ordering for the Sons of Horus to retreat. The traitors would abandon their allies before fleeing into the warp space rift known as the Eye of Terror. Abaddon would commandeer the Legion's flagship, the Vengeful Spirit, and enter a self-imposed exile, while the other traitor legions would direct their ire upon the Sons of Horus for their cowardice. Upon his return, Abaddon would begin to lay the foundations for an entirely new legion, a mongrel legion whose warriors were drawn from the genetic stock of different traitor legions, one that would become known as the Black Legion. With this new legion at his command, Abaddon would begin to gain a fearsome reputation for his brutality, charisma, and accomplishments. Such exploits include slaying a clone of Horus, defeating the founder of the Black Templars chapter, Sigismund, in single combat, and the Despoiler would even obtain the legendary demonic blade, Draknien. Over the course of the millennia, the Despoiler would lead multiple excursions from the Eye of Terror to battle against the forces of the Imperium. These forays into the material realm, known to the Imperium as Black Crusades, would leave a trail of terror and devastation in their wake, such as the annihilation of entire Space Marine chapters, laying waste to the Gothic sector, capturing 2 of the mighty Blackstone fortresses, and even bringing about the fall of the world of Cadia. Most recently, however, Abaddon would launch an invasion of the strategically important world of Vigilus in an attempt to lay claim to a stable corridor of space known as the Nakmend Gauntlet. Yet despite being the current War Master of Chaos, Abaddon has yet to surrender himself fully to the ruinous powers, and in fact stubbornly refuses to do so, for Abaddon remembers what became of Horus after the Primarch surrendered himself to the Dark Gods, even viewing him as being weak and foolish for doing so. Such is Abaddon's presence, tactical skill, and martial expertise that he has even been rumoured to be the very clone son of Horus himself, with such rumours being spoken of as far back as the Great Crusade, due in part to how much of a familial resemblance existed between Abaddon and Horus. So, are there any truths to this claim, or is it completely unsubstantiated? Given that such rumours would become widespread not only within the Imperium but throughout the traitor legions themselves, it would at first glance seem fairly reasonable to assume that Abaddon could have potentially been a clone of the Primarch, especially when comparing Abaddon alongside Horus. Within the novel Talon of Horus, The Thousand Sun sorcerer Iskandar Khayon would also make references to such stories, after witnessing both Abaddon and the perfect clone of Horus created by Fabius Bile engaged in a standoff.
The War Master's name is whispered as a curse on 1,000,000 worlds in this last dark millennium, with many Imperial peasants, those who are even aware of the events that shaped our empire, believing Abaddon to be Horus's clone son. It would not surprise those superstitious souls to learn that, in that moment as they both stood before me, only their wounds and their armaments set them apart. In all else, they were twins.
But in regards to the veracity of these rumours, the answer is quite simply no. Such claims regarding the Despoiler's parentage are indeed nothing more than errant rumour and hearsay, for it has been confirmed that Abaddon is definitely not a clone of Horus. Such information would be detailed within the novel The Solar War, where Abaddon briefly reminisces about his childhood upon his homeworld of Chthoniya. It is revealed that Abaddon's true father was a man named Tar-Keridon, who was the violent leader of an underhive gang known as the Iron Cord. Abaddon was expected to slay 4 of his closest friends in order for him to obtain the mantle of leadership from his father. Abaddon, however, stated that he had no interest in becoming a king and would proceed to murder Tar-Keridon, stabbing him to death with the knife intended to take the lives of his friends. From that moment, Abaddon and a number of followers who fled with him would become prime targets for the other Chthonian gangs, who all sought to slay the so-called exiled prince. Abaddon's party would be ambushed as they made their way through the territory of a rival gang known as the Head Takers, and while his comrades were butchered, Abaddon would survive, though he was grievously wounded and left for dead. Despite being heavily wounded, Abaddon's body would be discovered by Hastus Ajanus and Captain Sirocul of the Lunar Wolves. The two Astartes would be impressed by Abaddon's resilience and stubbornness that they would induct him into the Legion, where he would eventually undergo the gene seed implantation process, transforming Abaddon into a space marine. Now, while there may have been a minute possibility that Tar-Keridon could merely have been someone akin to a parental figure due to his status as a gang leader, or even Abaddon's adoptive father, the biological connection between the two is confirmed with the following quote from the novel The Lost and the Damned, where Fulgrim confirms that Tar-Keridon was indeed Abaddon's biological father.
Careful now, little Ezekiel. You are mighty, but you play in the court of the gods. You cannot murder us as you did your birth father.
As such, it would appear to be a complete impossibility for Abaddon to have been a clone son of Horus Lupercal. So if this were indeed the case, as the evidence presented shows, then why was there such a strong familial resemblance between Abaddon and Horus? It is worth noting that Abaddon was not the only member of his legion who bore such a striking similarity to their Primarch, as one of the most famous members of the Legion was known primarily for this specific trait: Horus Aximand, the captain of the Sons of Horus 5th Company. Aximand's likeness to his gene father was so acute that he would be known colloquially by his battle brothers as Little Horus. The reason as to why such physiological similarities would manifest within the Legion's warriors was due mainly to the unique properties of Astartes' gene seed. This genetic material, which is typically implanted into an aspirant while they are still children, will go on to influence their physical development and even their appearance as they continue to grow to maturation. This is even supported with the following passage from the short story Little Horus.
Aximand's face had earned him his name, though he was not the only member of the 16th Legion who resembled the Primarch. For a good many, including the first captain, elective genetics had guaranteed it. They were sons, true sons, amongst the sons. Aximand was the most alike of them all. It was not only the face, there was something in the manner of him. Of course, he was Horus too, a common chthonic name made popular because of the Primarch. They were all sons of Horus in the end.
Such familial resemblances developing between Anastates and their Primarch are not just limited to the Sons of Horus Legion. The Emperor's children, for example, have been known to develop the hawkish facial features and pale hair of their Primarch, Fulgrim, while many warriors from the Blood Angels are documented to take on the beautiful, angelic traits of their Primarch, Sanguinius. Regardless, even though Abaddon may not be a clone of Horus, despite the rumours to the contrary, the very insinuation of such results in the Despoiler being an even more terrifying prospect for many of the Imperium's subjects, who live in fear of the day when the Lord of the Black Legion finally marches upon Terra itself. What do you think? Leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.